It is time to breathe again on the latest Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube, or streaming live, excuse me, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So, everybody, welcome back to the show. Of course, we were off last week. Hope everyone had a good fourth. Everybody stay safe, take care of each other. Um, Patrick had, I don't know if you caught the news, man, but there was another shooting, unfortunately, up in the Chicago area. I mean, it's just crazy. It doesn't seem like you can go anywhere without worried about getting shot at these days. But hopefully, everybody, I know thoughts and prayers. I mean, keep on hearing about that and saying that. But hopefully, those families that are affected are doing well and they're getting the care that they are. And we grieve for their losses, for the 7 people that did pass. So, that's it. It's crazy time, and hopefully for the rest, and just look out for each other, take care of each other, and just take it one day at a time and look out. With that, we're back for after not being here last week. So I hope everybody's doing all right. And Patrick, we have a lot to cover, so let's get right to it because we got to play catch up from not being there for last week. Let's start with NBA free agency. So, look, okay, I know everybody has been talking about the tire fire that is the Brooklyn Nets. We will get there. Don't worry. We will have our views on it. But before we get there, let's talk about some of these trades, Patrick. So there was some trades where, well, a couple of them in particular where, hey, these teams got better. And then another one that's a little bit of a head scratcher. So we'll start with the trade the Boston Celtics made since they were 2 games away from winning the NBA title. And they got Malcolm Brogdon from the Pacers. Now, we were just talking about, I think from the last show, we were talking about them needing a guard, needing kind of another playmaking point guard to help out what they have. And Marcus Smart, I think, and we talked about this on the phone. Marcus Smart, I think him moving to the point guard was instrumental in them making that run. But when they got to the later rounds, you could see where he was kind of lacking, not seeing those matchups like we were talking about. If Al Horford is over here being guarded by Steph Curry, you got to throw him the ball. And Marcus Smart was not making those plays consistently enough. So getting Malcolm Brogdon to join a team that is still pretty young, I mean, considerably. I mean, the core is still in their mid-20s with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart. And then, they give up a few draft picks. But, again, they're still young, still looking pretty good there. So I thought that was a great move for the Celtics. What say you?
Agree. I mean, right, the thing that the Celtics, it just seems like they were missing on offense was just not seeing those mismatches. And Marcus Smart never saw him. I mean, maybe he did see him. He just didn't want to pass. I don't know. I'm going to be willing to bet that he just didn't see him. But getting a point guard that can see those mismatches, I think this is a great move. Like you said, they're not losing anybody. They just lost a few draft picks. So with this pickup, I'm highly expecting them to make a huge run next year now.
And the thing with the draft picks also, Patrick, is it's not really the same type of value you would get in the NFL. Like, number one, it's just more draft picks that you have in the NFL. And then in the NBA, like the way these trades are going now, they're spacing them out. It's like a 2023 and then a 2025 and then a 2027. And then, as we'll get into with the Atlanta Hawks and their trade, there's a chance they could even get those back in the case of the Hawks. We'll get there in a little bit. But yeah, Boston, I like this move for them. It seems like it's addressing a weakness, really. Like somebody who can come through and make those plays, see those plays, a little bit more used to playing the point guard. Marcus Smart can go more to a off the ball guy, which is probably more of his strength. than him having the ball in his hands. And of course, you know what you have with Tatum and Brown and Robert Williams in the middle as well. So yeah,
And that's huge right there. Not losing Williams and still retaining Horford as well as that entire team. I mean, 2 games away, and they just added this. They're very dangerous team, and always, as always, pending staying healthy, which is always your Achilles heel in every sport. But pending staying healthy, they're a very dangerous team. I mean, very dangerous. And then on top of that, they kept White.
yeah, still got Derek
I
White. Yeah.
so I at this point, man, it's like, I mean, I'm not picking them, but man, it's hard not to favor them in some way. Them and Golden State again. It's hard, because I mean, throughout the entire playoffs, Marcus Smart missed matchup after matchup after matchup, and you just sitting there just going, "How in the crap?" Me and I don't know. Was it me and you had the conversation? Is like going into Milwaukee. If he keeps missing these mismatches, it's going to be tough for him, and it was. He kept missing them. So, and then ultimately missing the ones with Golden State. You can't miss those mismatches with Golden State. You just can't. You have got to hit those. You got to run that offense through Horford at that point. So maintaining Horford, Williams, Tatum, Brown. I mean, very dangerous team now. Very dangerous team.
All right, and Patrick, speaking of dangerous, Atlanta Hawks got a little bit more dangerous too. So
Yes,
they
they
made a
did.
trade with the San Antonio Spurs to get DeJounte Murray for Danilo Gallinari and some picks. So for the Spurs, this is a move that's basically saying they're going to start over. Now, granted, yes, we know they still have Popovich there. The people who are remaining there are going to scrap. He's going to have them ready to play. But even with DeJounte Murray, and of course, they had Derek White there too, the aforementioned Derek White that got traded to the Celtics, of course. They were still kind of that middle of the pack team. They were going to make a run for the play-in tournament. And if they were able to get out of play-in, they were probably going to get bounced in the first round. That's probably the worst place to be in for a team where you're not bad enough to to get better, but you're not good enough to really say, hey, we can go all in. So the
Yeah.
Spurs said, hey, we're going to pull this Band-Aid off and we'll just get these picks and see what we do with them. But for Atlanta, you get DeJounte Murray there. Now this is a guy who can handle the ball, and Trey Young can play off of the ball a little bit more. And of course, he's the key. He's the one who has to get better. He has to be the person who can play without the ball, who can run off those screens, and of course, he has to get better defensively. You and I talked about it. If he's going to be this guy that is compared to Steph Curry, he has to do Steph Curry things. We say it in football. If these quarterbacks say they're going to be good, get the hand off camera. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, it was messing up.
I'm just playing.
I'm
But
mushing the whole world right now.
yeah, man, stop mushing the world. Stop it. And you can't even see it because you're disappearing from the virtual. but if we say it about Tom Brady all the time, if these quarterbacks want to be like Tom Brady, they have to be willing to do Tom Brady things. It's the same thing in basketball, especially these guys who have range, who can shoot deep. And we know what Trey Young is capable of doing, but he has to be willing to do those extra things. Get better defensively, be able to move without the ball, and be able to set screens to come off of there. DeJounte Murray being another ball handler definitely gives them that opportunity to expand the offense. And those aforementioned draft picks that we were talking about, they may be able to get those back depending on what they do in a trade with John Collins. Just to see whoever they trade with, they might be able to get a first or second rounder back. So we'll see what else Atlanta has in store. But this move, really love this move for the Hawks for sure.
Absolutely. And then on top of that, what they got through free agency, I mean, I'm pretty stoked about the Hawks. I really am. I don't know what this is going to look like as far as meshing together. I told you I think they still need to add somebody to help Capella down on the post. I don't want to get rid of him. I think he does. Me and you talked about this. He does great things in that offense. He really does. I just think he needs some help because those big men. It's hard for those big men to put up 38, 39, 40 minutes in a game. And you're asking this man to do this a lot, and give him around 32, 35, somewhere around there, and then have somebody help pick those extra minutes up just to give him some rest. That's all he needs is some rest. I mean, when I was watching him through the Heat, that man, come fourth quarter, he's non-existent because he cannot keep up. These guys are running, and he's just too big to be running at that pace. And he, averaging 37 minutes a game in all five of those, just not something he can do. So I think if they get another big man to help with carrying that workload, and they're well on their way to making some good things happen in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I think Atlanta, just like Boston, they have a good young core. The Eastern Conference is, the Eastern Conference has a lot of teams that are developing. We're going to see what Toronto's going to come up. Their young core is coming up. You already know we mentioned Milwaukee, and we didn't have mentioned Milwaukee yet, but Milwaukee's in there, of course, up amongst the top. Boston, of course, and then we'll see what Philly comes up with. Philly trying to make a couple moves. I think they added PJ Tucker to the squad. That gives them toughness, some much needed toughness that they need on that team. And then I guess they'll restructure the contract with James Harden and see how that works out. And then we'll talk about the dumpster fire about the Nets here in a little bit. But the East has a lot of young teams there that are coming up, and Atlanta's right there in that court. This move for Deshaun, when I saw that happen, I said, "Ooh, this one is good." Because another thing DeJounte Murray provides is defense. Because this is a he's about 6'6", 6'7", rangy point guard who can play some good defense and can handle the ball and can play off the ball. He's a pretty multifaceted player. So so you can make that push there. You stay young because DeJounte Murray's not old at all. He's in his mid-20s, if even that.
21. So, he's 21.
He's 21.
He is 21.
Yeah. 21.
Yeah, you're looking at oh no, I'm sorry. I just pulled it up. He's 25.
25. Okay. 25. All right.
Sorry. Trae Young's 23, and Hunter's 24.
Mm-hmm.
John Collins is 24, and Capella is 28. And then
what about Bogdanovich?
29.
29. All right. So all these dudes in their 20s. So Atlanta is building something here that they can sustain for a good little while, and then with the right moves, they could be right back in there. I mean, I think they're very dangerous, and just depending, of course, what they get back for the John Collins, because there's been a lot of rumors out there saying he's going to get traded, so we'll see if he does. But if they do trade him, you assume they get a draft pick or something back, and they can continue to build for that future along with that young core. So they're just great trade for Atlanta.
And then
here's so here's the head scratcher, Patrick. So we got the Utah Jazz, who traded Rudy Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Utah got a lot back here. They got, I think, 4 draft picks and some players back. Now, here's the thing. We'll start with the Jazz. We've been saying it's time for them to start over and blow it up anyway. The combo of Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, it just wasn't going to do anything. And the minute they had the number 1 seed during the 2021 season, and they didn't even make it to the Western Conference Finals, losing to a Clippers team who lost Kawhi Leonard during that series, it was time to get rid of them there. They made one more run at it, and they got knocked out in the first round by a Dallas Mavericks team who didn't have Luka Doncic half of those games. So So it was time for them to go. So Quinn Snyder, he's not coaching anymore. I think that, fact check me on this one, but they got one of the Celtics assistants. I forget his name, but they got one of the Boston Celtics assistants to get that coaching job, to take over that coaching job in Utah. So could be a coaching loss there that the Celtics and Ime Udoka have to deal with. But yeah, one of their assistants took that job in Salt Lake City. With that
Yeah.
being said, Utah uh, has Danny Ainge. They have Danny Ainge there in the front office, and of course we know Danny Ainge from being in the Celtics front office, and you remember that trade they had with the with the Nets, where they got all these draft picks for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of similar to that. You go ahead and you trade Rudy Gobert, and you get all these picks that you could start to build the future around. And so we'll see what Danny Ainge does with those picks. As for the Timberwolves, okay, you get Gobert, but how is he gonna mix up with Carl Anthony Towns? Like it's a weird
That's the
mix.
head scratcher.
Yeah, that's a weird mix to me, man. Because you have two bigs now, and Gobert, he's been it's crazy because he's a defensive player of the year. I think he's won that award 3 times. But when they get into the playoffs, teams find him on that pick and roll, and they go around him constantly. So now you got him here with Minnesota, and you have two bigs. It's a head scratcher, and they gave up a lot to me to get him. That I don't know about that move for Minnesota.
I looked at it too, and I was kind of curious. You know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Towns comes to Atlanta. That's what we're hoping. No,
Okay.
he ain't coming to Atlanta, and I wouldn't. It's like this. Maybe they want to try running with two bigs. I mean, to me, that seems like it's way too big to be a line out there. Maybe you're wanting to look and split these minutes between these two guys. I don't know if that's going to be feasible for either one of them. Um, I really don't know what Minnesota was thinking on this one. I've tried many. I've sat here and obviously tried many solutions on what they were doing, especially with what they gave up to. I just don't know. I mean, I would like to see what Minnesota, and we gotta obviously let this play out a little bit. But I'm gonna I really go balls to the wall. I'm gonna let Minnesota play out a little bit, and then possibly next week we'll have something a little bit more tangible to discuss with what Minnesota has. I just don't know yet. I'm
it,
lost.
it just it's a head scratcher. I mean, so you have Carl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, really good young player there as well. I just yeah, this one's interesting to me because I'm
It
just
didn't
very
address
interested to see the fit. Hmm?
that's what off. It didn't address a need. Like
Hmm.
we talked about what Boston did in addressing a need, and this was like a overshadowing need. And we talked about it and what Atlanta's doing. They're really not blowing up the team. They're making some very aggressive moves, but really calculated moves. You know what I'm saying? And then there's this, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Let's talk about moving the needle, right? Boston moved the needle. Atlanta moved the needle. I mean, not really done anything. As a matter of fact, I only honestly want to say that they did move the needle. They just moved the needle in the wrong direction. Because I don't know what this is going to do at all. Has run me off. So I am speechless. It's very rare that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I yeah. We'll see if Minnesota does anything else leading up to the season. You know how some of these moves are. It's normally a precursor to another move down the line to see what's going to happen.
Mhm.
But right now, yeah, this mix is a little perplexing. Um,
Let's look at it from a different perspective. Like you said, some of these moves are just look at what they got right now. They won a front court. Yeah, that. So I like as far as putting it on the court, have no clue. Is what they have as far as like chips on the table. It's not a bad have. Looking at it from that perspective, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Putting it on the court, don't know yet. But man, they got some really high cards right now, and possibly could get trade back or some trade players. People only give that up for one of those players. Did you bring
so
up?
so before we move on, Patrick, there are some other players who they got the super max. So we got we have Bradley Beal. He got super max to stay with the Washington Wizards. Zach Levine got the super max to stay with the Chicago Bulls. Nikola Jokic, super max. I think this is the richest deal in the history of the league or something like that. He got his super max to stay in Denver with the Nuggets, and Devin Booker got a super max, and yeah, well, shoot, Carl Anthony Towns got a super max to stay with Minnesota. So a lot of people monopoly money's going around here, and then another
One must have
perplexing
passed
move.
through.
Yeah, and another perplexing move to me was, well, it's always perplexing when they make a move. The New York Knicks. So they went ahead, they made this trade with the Detroit Pistons to basically clear out cap space so they can go and sign Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, good
I didn't
player.
even hear about this.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson's good player. He was down here, of course, in Dallas. He's a
Mm-hmm.
very good player, had a hot playoff run, but the Knicks signed him to a 4 year, over $100 million deal. And I look, get your money. We always say that. Go ahead, get your money, go get that bag, as they say. But you moved all this cap space to get Jalen Brunson. I mean, come on, Knicks, really? Like that's not going to move any needle at all. There, I mean, you're still pushing play-in tournament.
Yeah.
I just
I
didn't
mean,
understand that.
it,
Like you
it
moved all the cap space to get that. I don't know.
I mean, and like you said, the things that he done. I mean, he's a good player, but man, like you at some point they have to realize that it's not about one player. You got to put some people surrounding him. I mean, every team has somebody that will surround their super max player. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't hear about it, but my initial that's a lot of cap space to be to get this guy.
Yeah,
And on top of that, you probably won't even get him any help.
right.
So what's the point in clearing all that cap space if you're going to get this one player and then go, all right,
Let's run it.
let's run
Let's
it.
go.
I mean, it's like playing cards and you're like, I'm all in. What do you got? Pair two. What you got? Oh, I got a fucking royal flush, dude. That's a sweep. A pair of twos. You're going all in on a pair of twos. Nobody's calling that bluff. Everybody's gonna call that bluff.
Oh man.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, like I can see if you're going to go for this play, get a supporting cast to come go behind it, but they're not even going to do that. They're going to go for this one player and then be like, all right, run it. Run what? I mean, do we got four other people to even put on the court? Yeah. One's 50, the other one's 70, and the other one, who cares?
No, but hey, you can get them from the stands. But
And you know what? New York, you keep doing what you do because every time Atlanta plays you, That's a mark in the win column. You do you, New York. You do you. I'm good with it.
Well, Patrick, speaking of New York, let's get to the other New York area team. So we have to trash the tire fire that is the Brooklyn Nets. Now, this look, all
This
right,
team,
I'll
man.
just go ahead. I'll just go ahead and I'll just paint the picture for you. Uh, like everybody, they should probably know the story by now. Um, you have Kevin Durant basically trying to bail on the team. He done requested a trade. You have Kyrie Irving, who is continuing to be an absolute cancer to the squads. Like anything he touches, it's just cancerous right now. Kyrie Irving is just.
But speaking of him, wasn't there talk about him going to the Lakers?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that too.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I'm like serious back with
yeah,
LeBron
right.
James.
We gonna get to that
Oh my
here in a
God.
little bit too. But look, here's what I'll say about the Brooklyn Nets, Patrick. They're not afraid to take big swings. Yeah, they sit here and they try to go for it all. You remember back in the day, we mentioned it earlier when they made the trade to get Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce onto the squad. They were supposed to have this dream team with Darren Williams, with Joe Johnson, all the Gerald Wallace, with Garnett and Pierce, and then they got bounced in the second round, and then that was the end because they had no draft picks, so they went into basically tankathon mode, and now here we are again, 2019. You load up in free agency. You're able to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to come in there, and it looks like it is going to come to a disastrous end. That era, a disastrous end. Now, with Brooklyn, you, it's hard to feel sorry for them. I mean, I'm not going to feel sorry for them at all. There's no reason to feel sorry at them at all. When you hit your whack into guys like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, you have to understand what these guys are about. A lot of people, Patrick, they get enamored by the offensive talent these guys have. What
Which
they
is
can
tremendous.
do offensively, which is great. Yes, Kevin Durant is a 7-footer with the handle. Kyrie
Mm-hmm.
Irving has some of the best handles we've seen. Can finish with either hand at the rim, has a multitude of shots, all that. So we understand the offensive talent. But when you get to these teams, the intangibles have to matter. They have to be able to lead men to the championship. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they don't have that. They don't have the leadership skills to lead teams to championships. They think they can just go out there and just play offensive ball and it's just going to work out for them. No, you got to have a team around you. Number one, number two, if you're those dudes, if you're those dudes that everyone wants to say you are, then you have to lead those players. Don't bail when it's not working out for you. That's exactly what Kevin Durant is doing. He's bailing. Not to mention, Patrick, he just signed a 4-year, $194 million extension to stay in Brooklyn. And now you want to bail? Like, if I'm Brooklyn, this is what I do, man. So this is the choice you have. You can have Kevin Durant just sit over here to the side. Homie, you're just going to be upset. We're not in any rush to trade you. You just signed a deal. We bent over backwards for you and Kyrie. We let Kyrie go aloof. We let him be a part-time player. Everything, every
No,
other
none of the rules applied to them at all.
exactly. You had all these other moves that aren't happening. We know how it works in the NBA. These moves aren't happening unless they okay it. That is the player empowerment movement. And all this stuff Brooklyn did. They got a new coach in there, got Steve Nash in there, got rid of the other coach, Kenny Atkinson, who was doing a good job there. And now you want to bail because the team isn't good. And you're kind of the reason why the team's not good. And it's just ridiculous how you're basically running away. And you know Kevin Durant's probably tweeting right now from one of his burner accounts if he's sitting here watching this telecast. I'm waiting to see a message pop up that says, you don't know what you're talking about, from some burner account. I'm waiting for it. I want to see it. Where is it?
Oh God.
I want to see it.
God, if old Kevin Durant would please do it. Please do.
But it's
You know what? If somebody paid him $194 million to play basketball,
4-year extension, Patrick.
Extension on top of that. Sometimes you just show up in color.
So if I'm the Nets, no rush. I'm not any rush. You can sit down. You can be unhappy. Whatever the case.
Changed in 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's 34 years old on top of that too.
Say that again.
He's 34 years old on top of that too. So that's the choice you gotta make. Do you want to sit there, or he's going to be 34? If he's not 34, he's 33 or 34. But by the time this extension is supposed to run out, you're going to be around 37, 38 years old. You're at the back end of your prime. You're going to have to make a decision. Do you want to play or not?
It's cool. Sign a waiver. Waiver says I don't have to pay you. I'll trade you all day long. Whatever. I'll go get. Right now's a good time to be trading you anyway. You on you downhill slope. I got you. I still got you up here at the top right now. Sign the waiver. Sign the waiver that says I do not have to pay you. I'll trade you all day long. I'll trade you wherever you want to go. I don't care.
And that's the decision that the Nets have to make, because right now the stock probably won't be higher than it is right now for Kevin Durant. But like the net, if I'm the Nets, like I said, I'm not feeling sorry for them. But if I am them, I am pissed from the standpoint of, we bent over backwards for you, doing the moves that you wanted,
and now you want to roll.
And now you want to run. You want to bail. And then, on top of that, Patrick, guess the teams that apparently he wants to go to. The Heat, the Miami Heat, and the Phoenix Suns. Oh, go figure. The teams that finish on the top of the regular season standings, and
I'm surprised one of them's not Boston.
Yeah, and you know what? And so you have people, because you know how people get with their rumor mills, and they want to try to picture these fantasy basketball scenarios. Boston has been thrown out there. Toronto has been thrown out there. But stop it, y'all. We have to think about contract structure. Do these teams even want him? Do they want to break up their young core? There's so many other questions you have to answer. You can't just put them on here like it's a fantasy basketball squad. Can't do it.
Yeah. And on top of that, I can tell you so many teams that wouldn't do it. Boston, they don't need him. Golden State doesn't need him. Honestly, I really think he goes to Chicago, and Chicago can't even afford it right now. But if he goes to
Chicago, with that Zach LaVine contract they just signed.
Exactly. But even if he does go to Chicago, let's just say some miracle happens and he does get to go. That's moving it backwards, because I can tell you right now, Chicago won't make it to the playoffs if he goes there. Or was it Chicago or Miami?
So Miami and Phoenix are the ones that are on
that's what I meant. List. He goes to Miami and goes down there with Butler. No,
it's not a good mix.
It's not a good mix. It's not a good mix, because Chicago has defense. Kevin Durant does not.
You know, and people say he's a good defender. I'm not seeing it. I think he's a good help defender. One-on-one, you can score on Kevin Durant.
Yeah, like you can score on Kevin Durant. I can score on Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? But just put somebody else out there, and I'll probably have a problem with it. You know what I mean? Just put somebody out there. I don't care. Put my 9-year-old out there. Oh crap! See, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm like, Kevin, please. Oh, Brantley? Whoa, hold up, because I know Brantley's gonna punch me in my junk. You know what I'm saying?
So Patrick. Hey, all right. So before we move on, let's get on Kyrie for a little bit, and then you brought them up about them potentially going to the Lakers. So here's the power play Kyrie Irving tried to play. He tried to do the same thing Kevin Durant's trying to do right now. He had an option that he could get into for $36.5 million. And then I guess he said, well, he wants to get traded. And he threw up 6 teams that apparently he wanted to get traded to. But apparently the Lakers, who was one of the teams on this list, according to these reports, which I think some of these reports are BS anyway. But of course, the Lakers would be interested, or the only one that is interested. So what he did was he opted into the deal, and now there are talks that it could be pretty much a 1-for-1 swap, Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook. On the surface, at least Kyrie can shoot the ball because Russell Westbrook can't shoot the ball. And you know he gets mad when you call him Westbrook, but he wants to act like this is something new. People have been calling him Westbrook for years
Yeah.
because he keeps bricking. So
he used to, I remember we used to call him Mr. 50-50. He'd
yeah.
shoot from the bus, get his own rebound, and hit the layup. That was it. That was his life.
So
now he won't even get his own rebound. Where does that leave you, Mr. Zero?
But Patrick, he gonna get, even if this trade happens, the Lakers, they're not doing anything because their roster still is garbage around LeBron, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis, who Anthony Davis is still the key to all this stuff, even coming close to working. Because if he is right, he's the one guy many teams do not have an answer for. With all the athletic wings who can go out here and score 40, 50 points, they're going to feel like they have an answer for LeBron and Kyrie. You know, so they're not really worried about that. But if Anthony
We've already seen this mix before.
Exactly. But if Anthony Davis is right, that's the one dude many teams do not have an answer for. Same thing about 6'11", 7-footer who can stretch the floor, can shoot, but he doesn't want to play the 5. That also hurts the Lakers as well. But bigger picture, Patrick, for the Lakers, and you know us, we're not trying to spend too much time on the garbageness that is the Lakers and the Nets, but hey, we just wanted to bring it up. Yes, we're paying attention to it. It's okay.
Yeah, just let you know that we do see that the NBA has a sense of humor.
Yeah. And so this is the main thing with the Lakers. Jeannie Buss, the owner, she's gonna have to make a decision.
Miss Cryptic tweet.
Oh, hey, I think there was definitely a message sent there from her.
She needs to go get Kevin Durant. That's who she needs.
But you know what? I think she just went through a time where she fired her brother. They went through a huge rebuild to get LeBron, and now they're basically in the same spot that they were before they got LeBron. Stuck, no draft picks, just in purgatory, and damn near stuck. Yeah. And the decision you have to make, like, to me, here's what you have, Patrick. You have expiring contracts. So LeBron, last season of his contract. Russell Westbrook opting in for his last season of his contract, $47.5 million. Oh my God. But anyway,
I don't know how he got
it. Yeah. So he's there. And then Anthony Davis's contract, I think he had, I don't know off the top of my head, but I think he has 2 years. Yeah, I think he has 2 years left.
He has this coming up year and next year.
Yeah. So if I'm Jeannie Buss, I'm really just saying to myself, you know what? If I could trade all these guys, let's do it. Let's just go ahead and just peel the Band-Aid off. And I would say keep Anthony Davis because he's the one guy you would maybe consider keeping. Well, but a couple of things. He's kind of fragile because he's always hurt. And number 2, he's under the Clutch Sports Group label that LeBron is under. Do you really want any of that residual from there? If I'm the Lakers, I'm saying no. Like as soon as LeBron is gone, let's clean it up. Clean it up. And
I would
again,
think
I would
so
try to
too.
trade LeBron personally if I was going to do it. But you know, LeBron has a no trade clause to the no trade clause to the no trade clause of his contract. You know he's going to have, he's going to leave himself the option there. So that's why I don't see a trade of LeBron happening, because he's going to decline it to where he's got all the cards in his court. You know that.
Yeah.
Um,
And don't get me wrong. Hey, good for him for negotiating that to keep the ball in his court, so to
mhm.
speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
But
business
I
thing.
can tell you right now, if the Lakers were smart, and we get to see it from our point of view. You know what? So from our point of view, outside looking in, obviously there's many other things that they got to consider on the inside. But outside looking in, smartest thing they could do: trade everybody, get out of those salaries, man, and start doing something about what Atlanta did. I mean, look, San Antonio paid Murray like in the sum of like $20 million, right?
Mhm.
Atlanta's only responsible for 15 of it. That's a good trade. San Antonio is still going to take care of $5 million of Murray's contract.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
why not? You know what I mean? But the Lakers have tons of expiring contracts that has already came up from all of their stupidity years back. So that money's freeing up. Now you got money coming up in the next 2 to 3 years between um, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James. Let these guys go. If you can't trade them, you only got to put up with their crap for 2 more years.
This year, just 1 year for LeBron and
Just 1 year for
Westbrook,
LeBron,
and then a
and
couple years for AD if you're gonna
but
not
let him
trade.
go. Let
Yeah,
him go. Get the residuals of this LeBron crap out of your system and move to a system that is going to work. Go find you your next quote unquote Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? Go find him and then start building around this young player that has the potential. And I'm not talking about the guy that comes in that plays like Kobe Bryant today, but then goes to the club. No, find the Kobe Bryant that comes in after the game and then goes to the gym to make sure he masters his skill. That Kobe Bryant. That's the one I'm talking about. Don't get this. Don't just go out and just get the guy that has a work ethic of 4 days or 4 times a day practicing so that he can perfect his profession. That's the guy you need.
well, all right, Patrick. Well, hey, we're gonna put a pin on this one. A
Okay.
couple more topics that we had to get to, man, before we got to the baseball. Well, the baseball will be the next one. Here's one for you though. How about USC and UCLA apparently going to join the Big Ten Conference? How about that? So,
That
not number one.
surprises me actually a little bit.
So before we get on the USC UCLA thing,
Hmm.
I just can number one. It's hard to me. It's hard to take the Big Ten Conference seriously when you still, after all these years, don't even know how to count the teams in your conference. You have four. You have 14 teams, soon to be 16. You still call yourself the Big Ten Conference, and you've been calling yourself that for I'm gonna say about 3 decades here. Now, the reason why I'm gonna say 3 decades is because I'm trying to find right now when Penn State joined the Big Ten Conference, because at that moment it was 11 teams.
Yeah, I'll find it. While you
Yeah.
talking, I'll find it.
So yeah, dude, 1993. 1993 was when they joined the Big Ten Conference. So you've been calling yourself the Big Ten Conference for 3 decades, damn near, and you still cannot. Apparently, you can't count still. So, so that's one thing. I just want.
Well, okay, so it says right here Penn State joined the Big Ten in 1990, and then Nebraska joined the conference in 2011, made the 12th member.
Right, but where's you? It says here they joined in '93 because they were independent from '92, from till 1992.
Okay, you keep talking, and I will look a little more because
Yep.
like two of these is Maybe two of them is
Yep.
wrong.
Yeah, because they
Okay,
say join.
yeah. It says right here, 1993. Yep.
So they joined in 1993, and then yes, Nebraska came over in 2012. For it, I'll bring that up in a minute too, because you're gonna like my take here. But but the Big Ten can't count, and now they're gonna add 16 teams here, or they're gonna be at 16 the minute USC and UCLA get on here. So literally, you have a coast to coast league now, and this is an obvious power play, money play, because the Big Ten are, well, I mean, look, they got scared, trying to follow in the SEC's footsteps, trying to be the super conference or another one of the super conferences that the SEC is becoming. At least with the SEC, it geographically makes sense. I mean, you're adding Texas and Oklahoma, and they're already primarily in the South anyway, so that just makes geographic sense.
Can't go
But
any further.
yeah,
I mean, like if New Mexico tries to join, we're gonna have a problem. Like, and then somebody like freaking Colorado tries to join, we're gonna have a problem. Like,
hey, and they're trying to join the Big 12 apparently, because you have, so if USC and UCLA are going to go to the Pac 12, or excuse me, to the Big 10, or whatever you want to call them, the Big 10 plus four.
yeah, that's what they need to have. That should be their logo. The big 1-0, and then right in the below it says +4.
Yeah, it's it's a so coming off of that though, Patrick. So this was a report that I seen from Front Office Sports is the name of the site, that said Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah may be in talks to join the Big 12 now. Now imagine being Colorado, you were just in the Big 12. And you joined the Pac 12, and now you might be going back to the Big 12. So, Patrick, my overreaching choice of this, man, for all of the stuff, all the realignment that has happened, that has transpired, you know who I'm blaming, right? You know who I'm gonna blame.
NCAA.
Nah, man, I'm gonna blame us.
Oh, you take it a little bit. You got to be really specific. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Well,
blame us.
you know what's crazy about this whole thing? As soon as Texas and Oklahoma said, "Hey, we're going there to the SEC," you know what I said? Remember what I said? Oh, crap, we're going to have super conference. That means we're probably going to get 3 more. That sucks for the Pac-12, doesn't it? You remember me saying that? I said they're out, and here we are. They're
well, Patrick, here's the thing. I blame us because
y'all
it
started
was,
the whole thing.
yeah, but well, when you mentioned Nebraska moving to the Big Ten in 2012, that's when it really started, man. Because of course, remember we had the Longhorn Network, and for those who don't know how these contracts are supposed to go, when you have a deal with a network, the money that comes from that network, if you are in the conference, in this case, the Big 12 conference, the money you get from that network is supposed to be equally divvied out through all the teams in the conference. We were like, hell no, it's our network. We're not giving it up. And so you have 4 teams leave the conference. Of course, we're talking about Texas A&M and Missouri joined the SEC. Colorado joined the Pac-12. Nebraska joined the Big Ten. And then you had TCU and West Virginia come into the Big 12 from that exodus. Utah went to the Pac-12 as well. They were in the Mountain West for all those years. And BYU's an independent, and this is why Notre Dame is staying independent. Well, okay, they're staying independent in football, because if they do decide they were going to join a conference, that contract they have with NBC, same thing. That has to be divvied out toward all the teams equally through whatever conference they are in. That's why Notre Dame's staying independent in football. They don't want to lose that money coming in from NBC. So,
yeah.
So yes, Patrick, us. It has us in there. Yeah, the NCAA, of course, is culpable. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the NCAA is garbage anyway, crooked organization. But we kind of got that whole train started by being greedy with the Longhorn Network. So I'll
So
take responsibility for
so let me ask you a question. With you
that.
being the fan, living in that area and all that stuff, what is Texas saying that when the SEC was like, yeah, you can join, but the Longhorn Network's got to go. What's going on over there? What's the deal? Because like Texas was like, okay,
Yeah, because
no
I think
problem with that.
yeah, because I think after a while they understood the Longhorn Network was kind of wasteful because you put it on the ESPN network, and of course this is a station that is on your cable channels that are on your cable packages. So with cable being so pricey nowadays, people ain't trying to get the Longhorn Network. And to be honest, Patrick, we haven't done anything. we
I haven't seen the Longhorn Network in 10 years.
See, so there you go. And so we haven't won anything. We haven't done anything. We haven't been in a national championship game since 2009. So when you're not doing anything in the sport, especially in a football crazy state, when you're not doing anything on the field on top of you being greedy for no reason, yeah, man, I think they understand now, hey, let's just go ahead. It just makes perfect sense to move over to the SEC. Makes perfect sense. And then that you're gonna get money just from that. You're gonna get more people coming into these markets here, the Dallas Fort Worth, the Houston, the San Antonio, the Austin markets. Just from moving over to the SEC, it's just more exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they understand the Longhorn Network. For the purists out there, it really messed up some rivalries too. Like that dude, that Texas A&M rivalry was something special down
Yeah.
here. And when you think about that, and then also the rivalry that was lost, and this was years and years ago, but the rivalry lost with Arkansas as well. Like those
Mm-hmm.
were those deep rooted rivalries, man, that were just gone. And there were a lot of people who were upset that A&M and Texas were not going to be playing anymore. Like that made a
Oh
lot of people mad.
God,
And
but can you imagine, dude? Oh man, all we need is just that realignment and say, Missouri, you're no longer in the East. Alabama and Auburn, come to the East. Oh, getting to play Alabama every year. That's gonna be awesome. I mean, obviously we play them every year anyway, but I'm
well,
excited.
well, Patrick, sorry, man, got to put a pin in that too. Got to get to some of this baseball, man. So Rob Manfred had an interview with ESPN, a long interview. So there was a couple of things that stuck out to me. He wants robot umps in 2024 or by 2024. Robot umpires, expansion to maybe 32 teams. So we're talking about another 2 teams to come into the league. And on top of the robot umps, a few more challenges. Now, there wasn't a number put to that. They just said several challenges. So really, I don't really feel too good about these changes. What about, excuse me, what about you? How do you feel about this?
Well, the robot umps have been coming for years. Like if you ever go to a minor league stadium, and this is really crazy about it, you'll see a bunch of plates that are about yay big, right? You'll see them all around like the box office or the boxes and home plate and stuff like that. So yes, they're going to have robot umps, but you still have to have the person that's up there. So he's going to have a little thing in his ear, and the upstairs will tell it. So like when the pitch comes in, the thing will read say if that's a ball or a strike, and he has to call it from this, but he can overrule if it seems too low or whatever. Because no matter what you do, you still have people in the way of that reading it. You see what I'm saying? So you can't have the it's really there for right because it's still not going to be able to read where the ball is if the ball is thrown from the cutoff man of, like, say, second or shortstop coming home, it can't make that call on an out. So you still have to have a human person there. But this has been in the talks for probably about 12 years. But they can't perfect they can't perfect the balls and strikes, because here's your next problem. People are different sizes. So how are you going to put a ball and strike that zone in on a computer based on what, one person? You'd have to base it on everybody that's in the league. You have to take their height. Then as it comes in, they have to put their names in, because they're doing it in the minor leagues, and they average it about getting it right about 10% of the time. So even 2024, Manfred's an idiot. It'll never happen. It won't happen. The technology is just not there. Not for the pace of this game and the size of the people. There's no way it can make it.
And Patrick, I think, all right, look, I'm all about getting the call right. I get it. I understand it. But I also do like a little bit of a human element there.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
look,
I
I mean,
love
if
about baseball.
there's, yeah, I mean, look, even robots get stuff wrong. All right, like it's not.
Believe me, all the time. I have to go and fix them all the
so
time.
so that's why I'm just like, all right, man. I get wanting to have the accuracy of the call and stuff, but it seems to be this whole. It's a concept of trying to lessen the amount of time a game is played. This is how I feel about baseball. If I'm going to a baseball game, or if I'm going to sit down to watch a baseball game, I'm expecting at least 3 hours for it. If it ends a little bit quicker than that, okay, bonus, whatever. If it goes a little bit longer, still a bonus to me. I'm not doing anything else. I'm still going to watch the game. But
They go into extra innings.
yeah, but if it's not cutting down, is it anything less than half an hour? If it ain't cutting down half an hour for the game, like really, are we gonna make a big fuss about 15 or 20 minutes? I don't think so. Why? Like I don't think. Yeah, like I don't think that's making a big difference there. If anything that's under half an hour, that's to me that's not making any type of impact on the type of game, shortening the game, whatever. Oh well, hey, you cutting out 10-15 minutes. Is that 10 to 15 minutes really going to make a huge difference? Seriously,
One
doubt it.
and two. Let's really think about it. There is two teams out there, and if they're ever playing together, it ain't shorter than a 3-hour game anyway. New York and Boston. Get ready for some crotch pulling and standing out of the batter's box for 20 minutes at a time. If you really want to short,
they about to play next week or this weekend.
So get ready. There's
Yeah, get
4.5 hours of your life right there. And all they're doing is spitting, fixing their gloves, making sure they have enough tar on their hands, and grabbing their crotch. That is the game. That's literally out of 4.5 hours. That is 3.5 hours of it right there. Because as soon as they hit the ball, it's an out really quick. Boom, boom, boom. The only reason why those innings last long is because I hadn't seen so much crotch pulling in my life. I'm telling you, none. I mean, they just.
So Patrick. So before we get out, man, I just wanted to ask this simple question. Before we get on out, man, is hot dog eating a sport?
Who won that?
Oh, our man Joey Chestnut, of course.
Joey Chestnut, what did he do? 76. That was the record.
Yeah, 63. He did 63 yesterday.
Wow.
It's like a 15-time champion now.
Yeah, that dude can eat some hot dogs, man. I tried eating 2 of them, yesterday, and I was like, oh, that's way too much.
You have flashbacks of watching the hot dog eating contest and how they're just crushing their face with buns and
dude. I go.
Yeah, you can see the gag reflex. I know. Yeah.
I can't even watch it anymore. It's so funny. I just laugh at it. He got 63. Good for him, man. I mean,
Oh my
I know his record was 76, and I think he did that last year. So, but he had to do it because I think the guy right behind him was at 74. You know what I
and
mean? So,
Patrick, he did this with I guess he ruptured his Achilles tendon because he chokehold a protester, and so he continued. And yeah, dude, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so hopefully he gets the ruptured tendon taken care of. But hey, he played hurt, man. He played hurt.
that dude hurts
He
himself
ate hurt.
every year.
He ate hurt. He ate hurt.
He ate hurt. You know what? He hurts himself every year. There was a year, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. He had a strained abdomen. I was like, that's just cheating.
You know, on, on that note, we're wrapping it up. We're not gonna go.
Wrap it up.
Oh goodness! So on
Answer
that
your
note,
question. No.
it's not a sport. All
Oh,
right.
it's actually a deadly sin, actually, from what I'm saying.
You-
So, no, it's not a sport.
so, so on that note, that will conclude this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. Y'all make sure y'all go to the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel and smash that subscribe button. And keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. Everybody take care. Glad we could get out on a laugh like that. And so, everybody take care and have a good rest of the week. It's good to be back, and we're gonna be here for the for the rest of the Tuesdays coming on up, and of course we will have football to preview coming up soon. So lots to look out for. So everybody take care, and we'll talk to y'all next week.